Hey everyone, welcome back. It's Lucid, and we are jumping back into what will likely be the end of the Battle of the Heims. We sped through a ton of turns in the last episode because they were pretty quick. And we, at the end of last episode, we got to the first turn of the Helheim Vanheim War, which is the penultimate climax, the penultimate battle of this round. What the game has been building towards. And I have to say, the first turn of war was pretty interesting. The doom stacks aren't really nearing in on each other yet, or it doesn't seem like it. But the short summary is Vanheim took more land, but Helheim took more lives. And I don't think it was like a terribly decisive first turn, but if I had to pick, I would say it went Vanheim's way. If for no other reason than Vanheim's just backed up by a much bigger economy. So any of the losses that they lost are not a big deal. While the territory that Helheim lost is a bigger deal. But that aside, it was reasonably even in terms of trades. Okay, a battle here in Pugria. Oh my god. So this is a magic phase attack. He's got a bunch of these slaves here. I'm guessing these are going to actually just buy time. Okay, let's look at these guys. Very killy. Yeah, these guys are just very killy. And they have really high defense. So this slow effect, slowing weapons, an enemy hit. Hit is the operative word. You have to hit them. So how are you going? Let's look at the stats when these guys land. Okay. These guys have 14 attack, 17 defense. This guy has 26 defense. They're never going to hit. Now, once they hit, if you surround them, we were seeing these Van Jarl thugs just pop instantly if they get surrounded. They get harassed down, they get slowed, it's all over. But here they're all together, so they're not going to get surrounded easily. And they have such high defense, and they're also really killy. They just blender these Valkyries. So this is really good by Vanheim, and it sort of shows one of the strengths of the Vanheim strategy. Vanheim did a lot of low commitment raids, which can be countered by medium commitment things, which is what we saw happen, what Helheim was moving around. But then what is Vanheim doing? Okay, well, you countered me with medium commitment stuff, but I'm going to magic phase in high commitment stuff that can kill your medium commitment, right? So it's a little bit of that kind of, I don't want to call it rock, paper, scissors, but yeah, there's some countering happening. Now, if Helheim split up, then instead of sending those thugs to one place, they could have sent them to different places. So it's not exactly like Helheim could just do more budget raids and avoid this. Okay, this guy dies going underwater. This is a very typical death. It's super easy to underestimate what it takes to thug underwater. In this case, I can't remember if these guys have poison-tipped spears. If they do, that's probably what happens. No. I think you just get surrounded. Yeah. Okay. We've got the Van Jarl killing some militia. I don't think that deserves being watched. Watch this. We have 80 ghouls against the Van Jarl. Who will win? Hate elves. All right. These Shade Beasts are nice, but it looks like they're moving into a province. This might have been the same group that Magic phased. Let's see if we can see what this was. In Pugria. Yeah, it's the same thing. So Helheim moved some stuff into Pugria, but this was the same province. These guys got mad. Now, he was probably just shuffling things around, like playing the shell game. Like, you're going to attack here. You don't know what's there. So he's just moving stuff around. The problem in this case is if you get magicked on, you're throwing good money after bad. So these guys all die. It looks like we have Muspelheim attacking Helheim. There's a Windmaster here. In this case, he didn't die, but in the real game, the Windmaster summoned an elemental that landed on the Frostfather. So that's the end of the Muspelheim god. These Jarls can still run around, though. They're not the troops, they're the commanders. We have some rating here. We'll watch this one. Herdmen versus Griffins. Yeah. I think that's sort of what you'd expect. I think these guys are just way better statted. These guys do have 3 attacks, though, so it's sort of close. I think if there were like twice as many Griffins, they might have won it. But, yeah. Helheim attacking Vanheim and Holberg with a pretty big army. Okay. Loses a surprising number of Valkyries. I'm not sure what actually got the kills. It might be they burnt to death from these devils. Let's take a look. Maybe they're standing... Yeah, they're standing right here in the middle of them. So they're on hold and attack. So a lot of these are going to catch on fire, maybe? One guy died here. Some other guys got poisoned. Hard to say. Did we... Which one was that? Oh, this one. Okay. So we saw this battle. Then Helheim raids is successful. They raid again, are successful. Vanheim kills a bunch of barbs. Niflheim raids and kills some elephants. Niflheim's finally back in cold provinces. Helheim attacking with some shade beasts. Okay, loses a fair number of shade beasts though, but takes the province. The Windmaster with the Sylphs takes another province. Okay, so that's it. So guessing what we'll see when we open this up is that Helheim did a lot better in terms of retaking territory. I bet you they're flat or slightly up. But I think this turn is kind of the opposite. I think Vanheim got better trades. Now, I may be wrong because I think they might be flat. Oh, no, they lost territory. So this was doubly bad for them because they are down territory and they sort of are behind in terms of the troop trades this turn. And they really need to be ahead on the troop trading and ahead by a margin because they're fighting from a pretty big economical disadvantage. They're starting to like lose this territory. They also don't have a lot of bases to project power from. This fort's under siege, but you want to project power all around here. You know, this fort can project power. This fort from Niflheim hasn't even been taken. So just the pacing of this is crazy. Think about it. Niflheim was the war that Helheim was supposed to win back when Vanheim was over eating Macone. And they still have this fucking fort. You know? So that's the pacing difference, and this is catching up. Like, if this was a Helheim fort, it could be making mages, maybe some troops, projecting power out this way. It could be really nice. Vanheim just really viciously raiding here. We don't see any further troop movements here. Helheim kind of moving this army around. Okay. All right, so I think that's about it for this turn. Let's go ahead and go to the next turn, see what happens on turn 51. All right, turn 51, we will start with a message from Vanheim. Greetings from Vanheim. I finally have time to write again. Before the war with Helheim started, I did some tests that showed his sacreds are slightly stronger than mine in a sacred versus sacred fight. Although with the +3 attack from the Throne of Fire, mine should be somewhat stronger. This, in addition to his ability to cast darkness in big fights, made me decide to be patient and not go directly for a throne win. What I am doing instead is playing to my strength, which is having a much stronger economy than Helheim, both in terms of gold, gems, and blood slaves. At least I have not seen any sign of him doing blood hunting, while I get about 25 slaves per return from 6 hunters with rods. By doing massive raiding, I am basically forcing him to make moves, or he'll just fall more and more behind. Currently, I'm gathering a large army on the Fire Throne that I believe will be able to easily take out his army he has on an adjacent fort. Now, it only remains to be seen if he storms the fort first or if he goes for the throne instead. If I can win one big army fight, I think I pretty much won the game. I think that's pretty true. Message from Helheim. The good old blood slave trick. I love that trick. That's what I've been looking forward to fighting Chris. I've been downplaying it, but after watching the tournament 2023, the tournament, he's been my favorite Dominions player out of anyone. Anyway, I can see he has his stack on the throne. I think I can take him. Either I can or I can't. Time to find out. I'm going to storm the fort I'm on and see what happens. I think it's mostly going to depend on how much research he has or how much nature income he has. Anyway, I still have at least one card up my sleeve, and I'll see if that amounts to anything. The trick is more Valkyries, because this play style has no depth. That is why I focused on how slow I was taking things. Yeah. Okay, so we're probably going to get a big battle this turn. All right, let's go through it. We got not as many battles as previous turns, but still quite a lot. All right, we got a win. Oh, this is interesting. So we've got a Jade Sorceress here. Let's see what she was doing. She was probably in counter rating duties, but no gems. Moss Body, Frozen Heart. Oh, this guy has a lifelong protection. I don't know, are they just summoning imps? So this guy did a bunch of imp summoning. Imp, reinvigoration, imp, reinvigoration, imp. Okay. So that means this Frozen Heart sort of is okay, except they're getting overwhelmed here. This was cool. I think this could have worked. So this actually would have been a very good counter to just like a basic light thug, because this guy would have, basically they were buffing up the tile, and then this guy would have spammed Frozen Heart, and that would have had a decent chance to kill these guys behind like this guy summoning illusions. So it's cool. I think this could have worked, but it didn't work against 3 imp summonings. So that's Dominions. Really interesting counter rating here, so I'm glad we watched that one. Here we get a Van Yarrow killing some more of Helheim stuff. So 2 wins for Vanheim so far. 3rd win for Vanheim. And then we have Helheim and Vanheim fighting here. I don't think there's too much. Just some Great Eagles. This did trigger gem use, which is a little unfortunate so I think it would have just won with the Eagles. But yeah. Okay, so 3 wins for Vanheim, 2 wins for Helheim, 4 wins for Vanheim, 5 wins for Vanheim, 6 wins for Vanheim, and then we have a battle. This looks like a very similar squad to what we saw earlier. I think this might actually be the squad we saw earlier that Cloud trapezed in on a bunch of Valkyries. And here we see them with a much larger Valkyrie stack and some Huskarls in front. And they're starting to get us around. This guy's probably going to die here in the back. This guy's already dead. And now there's one guy left. This is a huge win for Helheim. They desperately needed this. This is a huge win. These guys had a bunch of gear on them. You can't see the gear anymore. Let me pull it up. Huge win. They potentially loot most of this gear, or a lot of it. They kill all these guys. They had gems on them too a little bit. I mean, this is a big win. They need a few more of these. But these are the kind of things that matter when you're doing the counter rating. Big win. And the real battle, it looks like they didn't kill as much. It looks like they only killed 2 of them instead of 4, like we saw. And it looks like they lost a bit more too. Oh, no, they won. Oh, so this is different RNG. So what I said was a huge win. Could have been a huge win, but it turns out it was actually a pretty major loss. Though a bit of a Pyrrhic loss, because they did inflict a bunch of damage on Vanheim, even though they lost this fight. But as we saw, this could have been a win. So these sorts of things matter. You know, like Dominions is kind of interesting because there's a huge amount of RNG, but it tends to be like law of large numbers, where you do it 100 times, you get the same thing 99 times. But here you can see it like swung pretty dramatically. Of course, there's other parts of Dominions that do not law of large numbers out, like do important battlefield spells get cast, where do troops land, etc., and when they're flying and things like that. All right, another win for Vanheim. Another win for Vanheim. Another win for Vanheim. A win for Niflheim, but a loss for Helheim. A win for Helheim. A win from Vanheim. A win from Vanheim. A win from Vanheim. A win from Vanheim. A loss from Helheim. Okay, this is interesting. So Helheim attacking, but there's a few of these whites inside. So it looks like he just put on some guys to summon a Bane and some whites. So this was like a very low commitment storming. So these guys have unholy weapons, but they're not that good against whites. Okay, but they do take it. Yeah, okay. Wait, was that Van Jarls that landed? Or was I seeing that right? Oh my god, 12 Van Jarls. Wait. What? What? Oh, they summoned the Valkyries. I was like, did I not see them? No, they summoned them. Interesting. Okay, that's cool. There's a frog. Is this potentially a pretender frog? I think the pretender got killed. No, it's just a troop frog. Okay. So that's it. Huge victory for Vanheim this turn. I think this one, the wheels are off the wagon now. Yeah, it's over. Game's over. This turn was huge. At this point, like last turn, it was just Helheim was sort of getting bled out. But they could recover. You know, like you could slowly climb your way, outplay them turn after turn after turn, grind your way up. Like working your way up a hard ladder, you know? Not anymore. It's over. It's all over. So I think that's it. I think we'll end this episode here. I'm pronouncing the game over, but we've still got a good number of turns left. So I think what we'll do is I will probably skim through them, and we'll probably watch a couple of their big battles, and then we'll watch however it closes out. But I think at this point it's over. So I won't bother y'all with the details of all the ending bits. So yeah, tune in next time and we'll do like a quick final episode. So we'll see you guys then. Cheers.